Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Boxiest, and today we are going to continue the What If series. What if events had gone differently? And in this What If, we're going to change the history of Cobra Kai. What if Kenny fought Robby during the events of Cobra Kai Season 5? So in this timeline, the events of Cobra Kai Season 5 would still happen. Daniel and Johnny would still find out about the Saikai Taikai, and they would want to convince the judges to let them enter. So each dojo would impress the judges, and each dojo would still have to choose one male and female fighter, and the events of Season 5 would carry on. Cobra Kai would still choose Kenny and Tori, and Daniel would still pick Sam. In the night of the pizza party, Johnny would have a hard time choosing which of the boys would represent them, but this is when Miguel and Hawk would speak up. Miguel would say that Robby made it to the semifinals in last year's tournament, and even with an injured arm, Robby held his own and the match was pretty close. And Hawk would say that Robby once again made it to the semifinals this year, and he would admit that if Robby had been focused, Robby would have beaten him. So Miguel and Hawk would nominate Robby. Robby would be surprised, but he would be honored. So Robby would start training, and the next day, Robby would be surprised that he would be fighting Kenny. Kenny and Robby would still talk, and Robby would still want to convince Kenny to leave Cobra Kai. He would say that it wasn't too late, but Kenny would be mad at Robby for training Anthony, and he would want to get his revenge on Robby for betraying Cobra Kai. Tori would see Robby in his Miyagi-Do gi, and she would be sad that Robby went back to Miyagi-Do with Sam, and the match would begin. Robby would still want to go easy on Kenny in this timeline. He wouldn't want to hurt him like he did at the All Valley. Robby would be focused, and he would be using Miyagi-Do, and since he had more Miyagi-Do training than Hawk, he would get a point on Kenny. Even with the referee on Kenny's side, Robby would still get a point. Robby and Kenny would continue fighting. Kenny would remember Terry Silver's lesson about deception, and he would use that to his advantage. He would make Robby think that Robby injured him, and when Robby let his guard down, Kenny would strike. Kenny would get a point on Robby. Robby would get a second point on Kenny. In this timeline, Kenny would use a silver bullet on Robby, and Robby would fall on the floor, but unlike Hawk, Robby would be able to continue, and he would stand back up. The score would be 2-2. Robby would realize that if Cobra Kai won, Kenny would go down an even darker path, so he would decide to stop going easy on Kenny, and even though he had the wind knocked out of him, Robby would start using a combination of offense and defense, and he would score the final point on Kenny, so Robby would defeat Kenny in this timeline, and after the fight, Robby would go recover with Johnny. Since Tori never noticed that the referee was paid off, she would fight Sam in this timeline. The match would begin. The fight between Sam and Tori would be very close. The score would be 2-2, but Tori would notice that the referee was paid off again. This is when Tori would decide to back off, and she would let Sam score the final point, so only Miyagi-Fang would qualify for the Saikai Taikai. Terry Silver would be enraged, and he would want to get his revenge on Miyagi-Fang, and Miyagi-Fang would go celebrate. Those events would stay the same, and that is where I'm going to end this What If. Thank you guys for watching. What do you guys think would have happened if Kenny fought Robby during the events of Cobra Kai Season 5? Let me know in the comments below. YouTube lets me know that the majority of you are not subscribed, so if you guys could subscribe, that would be much appreciated. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on post notifications, and I'll see you guys next time.